Have you ever wondered why the smallest, most trivial things have the power to make you explode? It is almost embarrassing when you look back on it. A car cuts you off in traffic. A coworker leaves a passive-aggressive comment in an email. The internet connection drops for 10 seconds. A stranger looks at you the wrong way. In the grand scheme of your life, these moments are nothing. They're dust. And yet, in that specific moment, they feel like everything. The irritation rises in your chest like a fire. Your jaw tightens. Your heart rate spikes. A chemical flood of cortisol and adrenaline hijacks your brain, and suddenly, you're not a rational human being anymore. You're a reactor. You're acting on pure instinct. You let a tiny, insignificant event steal your happiness, your focus, and your peace for hours, maybe even for the entire day. But here is the uncomfortable truth that most people refuse to face. It is not the traffic that makes you angry. It is not the rude comment. It is not the slow service. It is the control you willingly give away in those moments. That is why the Stoics, the ancient philosophers of Greece and Rome, treated anger not just as an emotion, but as a silent enemy. They called it a temporary madness. It is not loud and dramatic like in the movies. It is corrosive. It eats you from the inside out. Epictetus, the slave who became a philosopher, warned us nearly 2,000 years ago. He said, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. Think about that. If you get angry, you have agreed to get angry. You have signed a contract with chaos. If you let every stupid thing trigger you, you are not living a life of your own design. You are living a life of reaction. You are a puppet, and the strings are pulled by idiots, by accidents, and by random chance. Today, we are going to cut those strings. We're going to explore 7 profound Stoic strategies to stop getting angry at stupid things. These are not quick fixes. These are shifts in perception that will help you stay calm, composed, and in total control, no matter how foolish the world becomes around you. Let's begin with the first and most critical strategy, the Stoic pause. Most people believe that anger is something that happens to them. They feel the spark, and they immediately explode. There is no gap, stimulus, reaction. But the Stoics trained themselves to find a tiny window of time, a brief, invisible pause between the event and the response. Before anger takes over, there's always a fraction of a second where you still have full control. Most people never notice it because they are too busy reacting. But this space is where your freedom lives. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, famously said that between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Every explosion starts with a spark. A stupid comment, a rude tone, a careless action. It hits you like a physical punch. Your instinct screams at you to fire back, to prove your point, to show them they cannot mess with you. But the first reaction is almost always the wrong one. It is biological, not logical. So, how do you practice the Stoic pause? It is simple, but it is not easy. When you feel that heat rising, you must physically stop. Do not speak. Do not type. Do not move. Force your body to freeze for just 2 seconds. Take one deep, slow breath. In that single breath, something magical happens. You step out of the emotional fog. You disconnect the automatic wire in your brain. You look at the situation, and instead of seeing a threat, you see reality. You see a random driver who is probably late for work and doesn't even know you exist. You see a person whose poor judgment does not deserve a single second of your peace. The pause is not weakness. It is not passiveness. It is power on a leash. It is the ability to destroy someone with words, but choosing silence because you are the master of yourself. This leads us directly to the second strategy: reframe the insult. Nothing is actually an insult until you accept it as one. Most of the anger you feel doesn't come from what people say to you. It comes from what you think their words mean. A stranger makes a dumb comment. A friend says something careless. Someone online leaves a nasty reply. Instantly, your mind interprets this as an attack on your value. You tell yourself, they disrespect me. They think I'm stupid. I need to defend my honor. But here is the Stoic truth. An insult only becomes an insult when you agree to carry it. If someone hands you a rock and you refuse to take it, who does the rock belong to? It still belongs to them. The same applies to insults. Epictetus taught that what disturbs men is not events, but their judgment about events. This single idea can dismantle half the anger in your life. Because most of the stupid things that upset you are never truly about you. People react from their own moods, their own stress, their own insecurities, their own ignorance, or simply their own bad habits. And yet, you absorb their words as if they are an accurate description of who you are. Imagine someone calls you incompetent. Before that word reaches your mind, it is just a sound. Sound waves traveling through the air. You're the one who grabs that sound and turns it into a knife. But what if you asked a different question? Instead of asking, why are they attacking me? Ask yourself, what does this say about them? Suddenly, the power shifts. A rude person exposes their poor upbringing, not your worth. A jealous person attacks your confidence, not your character. An ignorant person reveals their limitations, not yours. When you understand this, you realize that people are constantly revealing themselves through their behavior. Their words act like mirrors, but those mirrors show their reflection, not yours. When you see a child throwing a tantrum, screaming on the floor because they want candy, do you feel insulted? Do you feel the need to argue with the child? No, you feel patience, maybe even a little pity. You understand they don't know any better. The Stoics viewed rude adults the same way. If an adult behaves like a petulant child, why would you give them the authority to control your emotions? Depersonalize the words. Hear them as raw noise. Identify the source. Is this coming from insecurity, stress, projection? Reassign the meaning. It is not an insult. It is a confession of their own character. Now, let's move to the third strategy, which is perhaps the most practical tool in the Stoic arsenal, the control filter. Nothing creates pointless anger faster than trying to fix things that are not yours to fix. Stupid comments, rude behavior, traffic jams, long lines, the weather, the economy, political arguments. All the tiny irritations that hijack your peace have one thing in common. They belong to the outside world. The Stoics had a strict mental gate called the dichotomy of control. They divided the entire universe into two columns. Column A, things I control. Column B, things I do not control. In column A, you have your thoughts, your actions, your words, your values, and your character. That's it. In column B, you have everything else. What people think of you, what people say, how people drive, whether it rains, whether the internet is slow, whether your boss is in a good mood. Here is the source of your suffering. You're constantly trying to drag items from column B into column A. You want to control the uncontrollable. You want the rude person to be polite. You want the slow driver to be fast. You want the chaotic world to be orderly. But you cannot control someone else's intelligence. You cannot control their self-awareness. You cannot control their upbringing. When you get angry at these things, you are literally yelling at the rain for being wet. It is madness. It is a waste of your finite life energy. So, the next time you feel the spark of anger, perform a quick audit. Ask yourself, is this in my control? If it is someone else's behavior, the answer is no. If the answer is no, you must practice the art of letting go instantly. This doesn't mean you don't care about anything. It means you care only about what belongs to you, your reaction. You can't fix their ignorance, but you can fix your response to it. You don't need to teach them a lesson. You don't need to win the argument. You just need to keep your own side of the street clean. Strategy number 4 is about perspective. Choose the size of the problem. One of the fastest ways to stop getting angry at stupid things is to be brutally honest about how small they really are. Most people don't get angry because life is truly tragic or hard. They get angry because they treat every minor irritation like a full-scale crisis. A spilled coffee, a slow reply to a text message, someone chewing loudly next to you. None of these are life-threatening. None of these will ruin your future. But your mind reacts with the same intensity as if you were being hunted by a predator. You magnify, you dramatize, you make mountains out of molehills. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, who had real problems, wars, plagues, betrayals, reminded himself constantly to strip things of their adjectives. He said, "Don't tell yourself more than the initial impressions report. If someone insults you, the report is, they used these words. It is not. They insulted me and humiliated me, and now everyone hates me." That is the story you added. Stoics practiced the art of zooming out. They looked at their lives from the perspective of the cosmos, or even just from the perspective of time. Think about the last time you were furious about something trivial. Maybe 2 months ago. Do you even remember what it was? Probably not. It mattered so much in the moment, and now it matters zero. So why wait 2 months to realize it doesn't matter? Realize it now. When something triggers you, rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. Be honest. Is the barista getting your order wrong a level 10 problem? Is it a tragedy? Or is it a level 1 inconvenience? It is almost always a 1 or a 2. But if you react with level 10 anger to a level 1 problem, you look foolish. You drain your energy. You poison your mood. Tell yourself, this is small. This is nothing. I will not give a big reaction to a small thing. Strategy number 5 is a concept we can call emotional minimalism. We talk a lot about financial minimalism, not spending money on useless things. But what about your emotional currency? Your peace is a luxury. It is hard to get and easy to lose. Every time you get angry at something stupid, you are spending your expensive peace on something worthless. Imagine you wake up every morning with $100 of mental energy. If you spend $20 getting mad at the news, $30 getting mad at traffic, and $40 getting mad at a rude comment, you have $10 left for your family, your dreams, and your purpose. You are bankrupt before noon. Emotional minimalism is the discipline of conserving your inner energy. You guard your mind like a fortress. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself every morning that he would meet people who were arrogant, annoying, and selfish. He prepared for it so that when it happened, he wouldn't be surprised. He refused to let them disturb his inner state. Peace is not found in a quiet world where everyone acts perfectly. That world does not exist. Peace is found in a disciplined mind that refuses to engage with nonsense. You don't have to attend every argument you are invited to. You don't have to correct every wrong person on the internet. Silence is often the most powerful answer. It signals that the other person is not worth your reaction. It signals that you have better things to do. This leads perfectly into strategy number 6, build a higher standard. Why do small things bother you? The hard truth is they bother you because you don't have anything bigger to focus on. Small people are conquered by small things. Great people are focused on great things. If you are on a mission, if you are building a business, raising a family, mastering a craft, or transforming your health, you simply do not have the bandwidth to get rattled by stupidity. You are too busy. You are moving too fast. A lion does not stop to fight with a mouse. It walks past. When your mind has no mission, every irritation becomes a disruption. When your mind has a mission, irritations become invisible. Seneca, the great Stoic statesman, didn't waste time arguing with petty people because he was focused on wisdom and duty. So, one of the best cures for anger is purpose. Raise your standards. Define who you are. Tell yourself, I am the type of person who stays calm under pressure. I am the type of person who focuses on solutions, not problems. When you have a high standard for your own behavior, you stop lowering yourself to meet the low standards of others. You don't roll in the mud with pigs. You get dirty, and the pig likes it. Stay on the high ground. Finally, strategy number 7, detach from the outcome. This is the most advanced Stoic maneuver. Much of our anger comes from a secret desire to control how things end. We want conversations to go smoothly. We want people to understand us. We want fairness. We want gratitude after we do a favor. And when we don't get these things, we feel betrayed. We get angry not because of what happened, but because our expectations were not met. The Stoics taught us to focus entirely on our own input and detach completely from the outcome. You control how you speak. You do not control how they listen. You control how you treat others. You do not control how they treat you. If you explain something clearly and the other person still doesn't get it or responds with stupidity, you can let it go. You did your job. You played your role well. The result is out of your hands. This is not indifference. It is wisdom. It protects you from the emotional roller coaster of other people's behavior. You cannot force maturity into someone who hasn't developed it. You cannot force logic into a mind ruled by emotion. When you accept this, you stop banging your head against the wall. You do your best, and then you move on. So, how do we put all of this together? You need a protocol, a system. The next time the world tries to provoke you, and it will probably today, use the Stoic 30-second protocol. First, pause. Freeze for 3 seconds. Don't let the instinct take the wheel. Second, breathe. Take a 5-second inhale and exhale. Signal to your nervous system that you are safe. Third, label. Tell yourself, I am feeling irritation right now because my ego is threatened. Name the demon to tame the demon. Fourth, zoom out. Ask, is this a level 10 problem? Will I care about this next week? Fifth, decide. Ask, what would the best, strongest version of myself do right now? And then act. Or better yet, don't act. Walk away. Smile. Return to your work. You just learned the tools to become untouchable. Most things that try to upset you are not worth your energy, your time, or your dignity. You're not here to react to every noise in the street. You are here to live a life of purpose, strength, and tranquility. The world will never stop being stupid, but you can stop being angry about it. The choice, as always, is yours.